This is the Vidonn X5 sports tracker. Activity tracker is probably more accurate. I haven't been able to find out much information about the unit itself. As far as I can tell, it's fairly simple 3-axis accelerometer, not much intelligence on board. It can just tell when you're moving it, which is normally on your wrist, so moving your wrist around in one of 3 directions, much like most other activity trackers. This one, it's got a silicone strap. It's quite comfortable to wear. It weighs 25 grams or so. The clasp seems fairly reliable. I haven't had it come off by accident yet. It's a fairly standard silicone thing with 2 lugs to pop in. Goes from large, which is particularly massive, to very, very tiny. So even if you've got really, really skinny wrists, you should be alright. That's it on its smallest. It really is quite small. The device itself, it's about 12 or 13 mil thick coming off your wrist. Like I said, it doesn't weigh very much. To charge it, unlike all the others, it plugs straight into USB. Charge lasts about 3 days with normal usage if you're not using the display or the alarm. Takes about 10 minutes to charge fully. This one has single button control. It has a display on it, so you can show the time, and you've got a little battery meter there. That's the number of steps walked since midnight. It seems to roll over midnight. You can't change it to any other interval. And the number of calories it thinks you've burnt. You can also set it for a specific time period or event. So say you're going for a walk, you want to see how many steps you walk particularly for that distance. Press and hold the button, then you get the timer steps in a little square that you can see there. That's steps taken for since you set that timer going. That's calories since you set that timer going. And M, I don't know what M is. Oh, M is how far it thinks you've walked. Just press and hold the button again to stop it, and then you're back to the normal mode. So the hardware itself seems to be quite good. It's robust. I've worn it pretty much non-stop for the last week. I've worn it in the rain and it's had no problem. It falls down when it comes to the software that goes with it, and I've taken some videos of that, hopefully from my phone, and some screen recording from my PC, so you can see the internet interface for it, and I'll see if I can edit them in now. This is the Android app from Vidonn for their sports tracker. It's fairly simple, but there's a lot wrong with it. In the week I've been using it, it seems to shut itself down with some regularity. Maybe twice a day it'll start it up and it will just close itself down again. You have to forcibly stop the task and then restart it to get it to work properly. Once it's working, it seems to be okay. A brief run through of what you see. Up the top you get the name from your profile, scores, grade, don't know what they are, I'll speak about them a bit more later on. Sync time was the last time it pulled the data from the band. I've just started it up, so you can see there it pulled the data at 11:44, which was a minute ago. In the middle you get a brief rundown of your activity for the day. It thinks I've walked 2,344 steps, which probably isn't far off for today. The distance it thinks you've walked, that seems to be completely random. Earlier on that was saying 1.8 or 1.9 kilometers, now it's gone down to 1. How you slept last night, I think there's 4 grades for that. Soundly, okay, so-so, and badly, or something silly. And the number of calories it thinks you've burnt from that activity. It also claims you can share it to Twitter and Facebook, and neither of those 2 functions work. Along the bottom you've got trend. This gives you a graph of your activity for day, week or month, and it's a really, really simple graph. It just gives you the activity it's tracked, steps up the top, and turns, which is how much you've moved overnight. Again, they don't seem to tie into exact data. You can narrow down a lot more with the web interface, which I'll show you later on in this video. You can see there lots of movement in my sleep hours because I didn't go to bed that day. Again, I'll go through more about what you can and can't do with that data later on. Friends, I don't have any friends. Again, I'll discuss this later on, but you can add other people who have an account here and are using the tracker much as you can with all the other sports trackers. More, this is where you put in some of your settings. Under my bracelet, it shows you your bracelet name. It's pulling live battery details from the bracelet. Background sync seems to make absolutely no difference at all. You can set it to off, go back into my bracelet, and it's on again. So I think it's one of the many things wrong with this. The alarm clock is quite good when it works. You can set alarms, send them to the bracelet, and it vibrates at the set time. It's useful if you want a silent alarm. You can see here that's set to on. My bracelet currently doesn't alarm at 6:28. I think I would have to resend that for that to work, so it might be a one-hit thing. And amount of sleep, so you can set on the app, same as you can in the web interface that you'll see later on, the times that it's going to track you as being asleep as opposed to being awake. So I've got it set from midnight to 7. Personal data, again this is all mirrored in the web app that I'll show you, but name, age, height, weight. I don't know what goal is, that isn't explained anywhere. Feedback, I guess that might send some feedback to Vidonn if you tried it. I haven't tried that. And under help you get some of the same information that's in the user manual. Some of it's slightly more detailed than it is in the manual, some of it's missing. And that's about it from the web app. Like I say, it kind of does the job, but it's limited in the information you get, and it's unreliable. One thing I have found is that downloading the app from the Vidonn website instead of taking the one from in my case, from the Google Play Store, it's been more reliable. They both report as the same version, but visually they're different, so I think they might have their version numbering all wrong. Anyway, we'll go and have a look at the web app next. And here it is. This is the web portion of the Vidonn fitness tracking. It's a Chinese company, I think, so all of the text by default is in Chinese, but they do have an English front end to it. Here we go, healthy living from now on. You get basic information about the company and the product. You can manually download the Android and iPhone apps from here. Well, the Android app anyway, iPhone I'm not sure. The bit you'll be interested in is the user center, which is where you get to interrogate all of your data. Login, as you'd expect. There's a captcha even on the login page, which is probably quite good. I don't mind having an extra level there. And this is what you get. I've had mine for a week, so you can see I've got some score and I've got level 1 grade. I don't actually know what that grade is, but the important stuff is the data. This is the brief overview. So for today you can see I've done just over 2,000 steps. It reckons I've walked 1,362 meters, and last night I slept okay. You can drill into that slightly further with this little graph here. So this is the number of movements registered per hour. So between 7 and 8, 407. Between 8 and 9, when I walked the dogs, 1,632. And then I started work, so I probably haven't moved that much. It tracks sleep movement exactly the same way as walking, but it just counts them as sleep because they're in a particular time period. So you can see here I flapped about a bit at 4 in the morning and flapped about a bit at midnight. Other than that, seems I was dead to the world, which is not surprising because I was quite tired last night. You can skip back day by day, so you can see yesterday, again tracks by hour the amount of movement. You can see there I went to bed about just after 11, stopped moving after that. You can bump through the days as they happened. One thing I did find, I worked all night on Wednesday, I think, and yeah, here you go. I think this was it. Yes. Once you set your sleep zones, so I've got it set between midnight and 7, you can't change it. So it thinks I slept very badly because I kept moving throughout the night. This is purely because I was up and working and didn't go to bed. There's no way to go in and change this after the fact, so I can't tell it I was actually awake and have it improve my sleep rating. Doesn't really matter if you're drilling through the data like this, but if you wanted to, if these overviews actually cared to you and you wanted to share them out somehow, then it might be a problem. But for me, not so much. So yeah, you can see steps, distance walked, calories for some reason doesn't work out, and sleep rating, obviously that day was bad. The trend graph, you can narrow it down by day, week or month, so you can see if you've had a particularly active week or particularly active day. You just get all of the stats there. Monthly is irrelevant for me at the moment because I've only been using it for a week, and you can drill down through that by distance, calories and sleep. If we do that on day instead, so you can see there distance walked each day, calories burnt. It worked out calories for one day and it reckoned I burnt 8. For the rest it hasn't worked. And sleep, again, you can see my sleep is fairly static apart from that one day where I wasn't actually sleeping. The friend tab, it pretends to be social. It doesn't tie into Facebook or Twitter or Endomondo or anything like that. So I don't have any friends. Poor me. PK zone, there's no explanation of this I can find anywhere. I think this lets you set up a challenge for your friends. So you could set up most steps taken, most calories burnt, best sleep, or something like that. Maybe, I don't know. And config is where you put in your personal details. So usual stuff, an avatar, email, date of birth, height, weight, and this is where you set your sleep zones. I've changed them since my sleep pattern was slightly different, and that still didn't change my sleep rating. So it's definitely not retroactive on the data you've already got. So there you go, that's the web interface. It's okay, it gives you the data as long as you want to go in and interrogate it manually. So there we go, that's the Vidonn X5 tracker. You've seen the device and software. It was £25. You can't really complain for that kind of money. I've had no actual problem with it apart from what I mentioned in the Android interface, but it's done what I wanted it to do. It kind of records how much I'm moving during the day. The data itself is interesting enough. I find the sleep tracking more interesting than the movement tracking, but it depends on what you want. But yeah, for 25 quid you can't really go wrong.